Hello. Today we will be talking about MITRE ATT&CK. How can we use it? What is MITRE ATT&CK? And what are the pros and cons using that? And some misconceptions and some misunderstandings about it. So yeah, MITRE ATT&CK is basically a conceptual model that will help us try to understand different TTPs of different attack groups belonging to different threat actors and other stuff. So when you when you see MITRE ATT&CK or any mentions about MITRE ATT&CK, probably it will be people will be talking about enterprise MITRE ATT&CK, like here. But there are also these mobile and ICS MITRE ATT&CK, but most of the time when they say MITRE ATT&CK, people will be referring to enterprise. So what that means, like basically enterprise MITRE ATT&CK, most of the time referring to enterprise environments, IT environments, like let's say servers and desktops, all kinds of things. And basically MITRE ATT&CK tries to solve the problem like standardization of the attacker activities, like their TTPs, and how can we model them, how can we track them, can we create a taxonomy to understand these TTPs so that we can share information more easily, we can understand the offensive side, we can model the threats, we can try to detect them in a standardized way, and so on and so forth. So there are different steps, like techniques and tactics in MITRE ATT&CK, let's say enterprise MITRE ATT&CK. And when we say tactic, it is the ultimate goal, what threat actors try to achieve. When we refer to technique, it is the how part, like how can we achieve this tactic, like that refers to the technique part. So, and when we say the procedure, like it is detailed about this technique, like let's say privilege escalation, or let's say persistence is the ultimate tactic goal, but technique you can achieve persistence with different methodologies, like you can create a register key, or in a Linux environment you can create a cron job, or all kinds of things. So that refers to the technique part. But when someone says like procedure, or someone says like implementation, that means that it is about how we are achieving this technique. Like this is let's find persistence, like well-known persistence mechanisms, and then try to understand their details. So this is a technique called boot or login auto start execution, and these are the sub techniques. So sub techniques is also a relatively new concept that tries to explain, that tries to cluster similar technique goals belonging to a specific tactic. So persistence tactic, the ultimate goal persistence, is done by boot or login auto start executions, but there are different sub techniques here. Like if it is for example, if it is a Windows environment, and to create a registry run key will be a sub technique of this boot or login auto start execution technique. So yeah, I know it is confusing, but TLDR, tactic is the ultimate goal, technique, how we achieve them, and sub-techniques provides a more granular visibility. And when we say procedure, that means that how we are implementing this technique or sub-technique. So, for example, let's try to look APT37, and this is a group ID and this is software ID, and APT37 like group names 67, like this is, as you know, this is Mandiant naming and this is MITRE group naming, and APT37 has added persistence via the registry key, and based on the open source intelligence reports, we can look the data source that MITRE used while creating this reporting. So based on the open source intelligence, based on reporting, APT37 used this technique, and North Korean APT group used this sub-technique, which is creating a persistence using registry keys in one of their operations. So but the ultimate goal was persisting on the systems. But as you know, persistence is not enough. Like there should be a there must be some activities before that and after that. So when you are looking this this MITRE ATT&CK reportings, always keep this in your mind, like this Lockheed Martin kill chain, and always keep this in mind for different tactics. So for example, reconnaissance, you can find the related reconnaissance techniques here: weaponization and delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control actions of object. So TLDR, attackers first try to establish an initial foothold on the system, whether it is phishing mails or other stuff, and tries to be persistent and escalate its privileges, and then try to laterally move into the system, in the network, and then they create a command and control traffic. They perform their ultimate goals, like stealing data, disrupting the environment, ransoming the environment, so on and so forth. So this basically MITRE ATT&CK models these activities, like for example reconnaissance. There are techniques and sub-techniques. Resource development, how they acquire infrastructure, how they build their attacking environment, and other stuff. Initial access, how are they are like accessing the system initially, like whether it is malicious mail or exploiting a public service, all kinds of things. And execution, how they are executing after they access the initial system, and how they persist, and then how they privilege their escalation, how they laterally move, discover the environment and laterally move, and how they collect the data and other stuff. So impact is also a relatively new concept. Like, what is the impact of the activity, whether it is wiping a disk, whether it is just a network denial service stuff, or rebooting the system. Like, you can always reference these tactics by looking these details. So yeah, and also there is a good enterprise matrix here. Like, you can take a detailed look by using this matrix, enterprise matrix. Like, you can click and see the details and try to understand all the kill chain steps. For example, someone might choose this one and then this one, and yeah, you can model the flow. Like, And if you can find enough data points from a relatively good number of activities from different environments and other stuff. For example, if an attacker always use specific infrastructure and use specific techniques, and if they use specific like lateral movement techniques or and other stuff, like if you can cluster them in a consistent way, and if you can monitor the threat actor in consistent way and see the commonalities between activities, and then you can make sure that yeah, this actor is behaving similar in different attacks, different campaigns, and then then you can cluster them as an uh, persist APT group, let's say, like Mandiant uh, using this technique to cluster their activities and other stuff. It is of course not just TTPs, it is also how they are selecting their victims, how they are selecting their infrastructure. Like if you can refer to the diamond model, like adversary, that is the adversary like infrastructure, like how are how are they getting their domains, and how are they getting their email servers and other stuff, and how are they like they choosing their victims and sectors and industry, like if they are only targeting like government entities to steal information, and if they are using mimikatz, for example, and if they are using cobalt strike by hosting them in X hosting company and other stuff, if they are persistent, like if there is a commonality, consistency between activities, you can cluster them. So you can take a look at this paper, and yeah, you can take a look their methodology here. Also, this paper is also a good paper about clustering and associating attacker activity at scale. Like I said, first they are giving a temporary names, and then try they try to find consistency between these commonalities, like malware, target selection, TTPs, target industry, infra usage, and when they become mature enough, the commonalities become mature enough, then you can say that yeah, they are so similar, like they must be the same activity. So TLDR, MITRE is a good MITRE ATT&CK is a good framework, but it is not the magic bullet. It is not the magic silver bullet, because there might be some undiscovered techniques, or there might be use of some 0 days and other stuff, and it is only reporting about how can I say this in a politic way, it is only related with the some countries' activities. For example, currently we don't know about the Western governments TTPs, their agencies TTPs and other stuff. For example, if we are looking in the Iranian nation states, or Russia or North Korea or China, probably you will see enough context on MITRE ATT&CK. But for example, if some Western agency like agency X using a specific technique, tactic, or tooling, probably you will not be seeing it here. Another aspect is the like abstraction is good, like mental modeling is good, because you are separating these kill chains and other stuff, but sometimes they are not that separate. Like you can, like some tools has some capabilities, like they can also use for lateral movement, but they can also use for another technique, let's say privilege escalation or other stuff. For example, when you consider Cobalt Strike or CTO frameworks, these implants of these CTO frameworks have lots of capabilities, so it is sometimes hard to differentiate between these activities from a tooling perspective, from a software perspective. Another thing I I would say is uh, it is not the it is not so practical to follow all the techniques and try to detect them and other stuff, because MITRE itself is not saying that like you can use this is the ultimate solution. I'm not saying that like it is for the good for the community, good for the people, but you should try to focus in for your industry, for your business sector, and you you should be detecting the or prevent you should be preventing the interested sectors or interested TTPs or threat actors, because it is so hard to follow all this stuff. But when you read the vendor reports and other stuff, probably they will be bold enough to say, yeah, we are 100%, like 95% have visibility or or detection and response readiness, so on and so forth. But make sure that you are focusing your industry, you are focusing your business sector, and also please do your tests. Test them periodically, not just one time. Like I written my rule and I am ready to detect something, but they can be broken after some point. Like someone might change some stuff, and then maybe 30% of your detection will be stale, like will be unuseful, non-functional. So they should be continuously tested with different scenarios. And also keep this in mind, like MITRE is publishing new versions every X months. For example, in like last week, I think, yeah, last week they published another update, some about some detections and other stuff. But of course, like they are just using open source reporting. Uh, some some of the data might be late than you would want to use. So keep this in mind. Like try to be uh, try to track your own threads like TTPs, and then cross check it with MITRE ATT&CK, because sometimes they might be late about a critical technique and other stuff. It is an edge case, but that is another um, aspect from a MITRE ATT&CK perspective. And yeah, this is another thing I want to say. So yeah, for this video I think we covered good enough information. Please subscribe to channel and like this video, and if you have any comments, throw them in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.